Okay. Okay. I actually almost don't believe that with everything we have to deal with in this state as a result of the pandemic and the resulting health and budgetary crisis we face in California and across the nation, that a state legislator would introduce a bill that seeks to eliminate commission's authority to review, permit with conditions, or deny a seawall, given its likelihood of adverse impacts on coastal resources and public access. Even Pro Tem Atkins, who had introduced SB 1100, which I was working on, a forward-thinking bill to assist the commission in addressing sea level rise, chose not to move her bill forward this session, despite very strong momentum before the crisis struck. Your staff has given you an in-depth analysis, but just to quickly review, it requires that the commission and or a local government approve all CDPs for seawalls and other hard armoring devices, requires that any denial be reported to the legislature within 30 days and include evidence that the construction of the seawall poses a substantial threat to public health and safety, requires that you approve all such applications within 30 days, limits all appeals, limits mitigation to no more than $25,000. And for me, the real doozy was changing the definition of existing residential structure from a permitted or constructed residential structure as of January 1st, 1977 to a permitted or constructed residential structure as of May 1st, 2020. While the Coastal Act did not anticipate the impacts of the degree of sea level rise that California will experience over the coming decades, the act approved in '76 was really forward-thinking in recognizing that seawalls and other hard armoring approaches would have a deleterious impact on the future of our beaches, which is why Coastal Act Section 30253 gives this commission the flexibility and authority to approve or deny seawalls and to appropriately condition them to avoid and mitigate for adverse impacts to coastal resources and public access and recreation. There is scientific consensus that seawalls, when placed on an eroding or retreating beach, will cause that beach to narrow and eventually disappear. And with the double whammy now of sea level rise, it is now predicted that 70% of Southern California's beaches will disappear by 2100. This bill, if approved by the legislature, would be like putting the pedal to the metal and vastly accelerate the ongoing loss of our beaches. It establishes a by right approval and effectively kicks the public's right to access to the beach to the curb. So needless to say, CCPN strongly urges you to support the staff's recommendation and vote to oppose SB 1090. And it's great to see everybody back at work. With that, I'll close. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Jordan.
Thank you. Next is Sharon Fudge, followed by Andrea Leon Grossman, followed by Jennifer Savage.
Now, this is Sharon. Hi, everyone. And welcome back to work. It's good to see all of your faces, or most of your faces, and especially welcome back to Chair Padilla. We're glad to see that everybody's back. We miss coming up to see you, but my comments on this item today will be very limited. I would love to say ditto to everything that Susan Jordan just said. I would love to add my support to the recommendation that this bill is opposed. I find that it's a very dangerous precedent to set. I believe that the bill is very extreme, and I believe that seawalls are not simply to address erosion of bluffs, but that they are also to prevent erosion of homes that are built on the sand, which would mean that there's no danger to the public from those. There's a seawall appeal that we have in Laguna Beach at 31101 Coast Highway that comes immediately to mind, where whether or not a seawall is built has nothing to do with public safety and everything to do with loss of beach. So I heartily support staff's recommendation and hope that this bill does not pass in the legislature. And that is it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Fudge.
Thank you. Next, we have Andrea Leon Grossman, followed by Jennifer Savage, followed by Denise Urkel. Ms. Leon Grossman, I'm going to bring you into the meeting now.
Chair Padilla, I noticed Mike Wilson's hand's been up for a while.
I'm prepared to go after the public comment.
Thank you.
Hello? Hello?
Hi, we hear you.
Okay. Good morning, members of the California Coastal Commission. My name is Andrea Leon Grossman, Climate Action Director with Azul. I appreciate all the work that you're doing under the circumstances that we're living in and the efforts to keep the California Coastal Commission meetings on track. I would also like to see how we can work together to engage other community members without access to Wi-Fi and computers to participate. I support the staff's opposition to the Senate Bill 1090. This bill, if approved by the legislature, would result in the accelerated narrowing and destruction of public beaches, along with significant portion of the Southern California coastline, with the ultimate loss of beach access for the public. While this bill only applies to Orange County and San Diego counties, it will set a disastrous precedent for all of California. As an environmental justice advocate who is speaking for those communities now being affected by the coronavirus disproportionately, whether they're getting sicker, are essential workers, or unemployed, it's imperative to protect public beaches and public access to those beaches. With sea level rise, it's inevitably that our beautiful beaches will be getting narrower, and there's no reason to accelerate that narrowing for the profit of a few developers when most Californians will pay the price. Please support the staff recommendation to oppose SB 1090. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Leon Grossman.
Next is Jennifer Savage, followed by Denise Urkel, followed by Amy Fell. Ms. Savage, I'm going to bring you into the meeting now.
Hi, Jennifer Savage, Surfrider Foundation. I'd like to echo the points made by the preceding speakers. The ways in which SB 1090 conflicts with our state's coastal resiliency efforts and access principles make it wildly inappropriate in normal times and particularly egregious in a time when other legislators are setting good climate legislation aside due to the COVID-19 crisis. The bill's requirements completely diverge from existing Coastal Act guidelines and the state's new sea level rise principles your commission is set to adopt. The precedent this would set would assure the destruction of our public beaches to protect private property. If public safety and coastal protection were truly the priority, we would be discussing managed retreat and proactive natural adaptation policies. We absolutely support the staff's recommendation that the commission oppose this bill, and I would only ask that you add 100 or so exclamation points to the motion to drive that opposition home. Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Next, we have Denise Urkel, followed by Amy Fell, followed by Kristen Brenner. Ms. Urkel, I'm going to bring you into the meeting now.
Can everyone hear me?
Yes, we hear you.
Okay, great. Thank you. Welcome back, commissioners, and especially good health wishes to Chairman Padilla. We're glad to see you back at the helm and in good health. My name is Denise Urkel. I'm the chapter coordinator for the South Orange County Surfrider Foundation chapter, and I'm also a 25-year homeowner in Dana Point, California. Our chapter strongly supports staff recommendation to oppose SB 1090 by Senator Bates. It's an outrageous and reckless proposal that will destroy Orange County's public beaches for private benefit. And the timing of this bill, as my predecessors have said, is suspect at best during the COVID-19 crisis. Our chapter has worked hard for decades to protect our natural beaches and the recreational opportunities they provide for all. And in February, you might recall, the commission denied a proposal to armor Strands Beach and Niguel Shores unanimously. We feel this decision was a step in the right direction for wise sea level rise adaptation policy in California. As such, our permits, plans, and laws must reflect policies that will preserve our natural beaches and the economic and recreational opportunities they provide now and for future generations for all. Our chapter has also fought tirelessly along the Coastal Commission and staff to ensure public access at the southern portion of Strands Beach in Dana Point. And further, over the past 10 years, we've been documenting with pictures and video Capistrano Beach, which is listed in this bill, rather erroneously, we feel. During the last 10 years, the wave action at Capo is really normal wave action. And they dig the parking lot out routinely, and the new normal is happening now. In fact, the temporary emergency seawall at Capo isn't working currently. Waves on, any normal day overtake the walkway and the revetment, even though Capo Beach has retreated and put K-rails up and eliminated the front row of parking. We are routinely working collaboratively with the OC Parks and County of Orange to come up with a plan to save Capistrano Beach from any and all permanent and additional riprap armoring. And we look into the future of what will be the long-term effects of sea level rise. Efforts to protect public access to the coast will be for nothing if there is no coast or beaches left to visit. If we replace our sandy beaches, rocky intertidal habitats, and marshlands with seawalls, what good is public access? If all our waves and surf breaks drown, what good is public access? This proposed bill is, again, a reckless attempt to misuse legislation for private property owners and burdening taxpayers and the public trust as such. We are asking you to unanimously deny and oppose SB 1090 by Senator Bates. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Denise.
Thank you. Next, we have Amy Fell, followed by Kristen Brenner, followed by Ryan Vaughn. Please remember to state your full name for the record. Ms. Fell, I'm going to bring you into the meeting now.
Okay, everyone, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay, great. Hi, everyone. My name is Amy Fole. I'm an executive committee member at the South Orange County chapter for Surfrider Foundation. I also live in Dana Point in Monarch Beach. And I'm strongly urging you to oppose SB 1090 as recommended by staff. In Orange County, our lifestyle, recreation, economy, and amazing coastal ecology all rely on us to protect the coast in a natural state. These things all suffer if our sand and coastal habitats are replaced with boulders. It's almost incomprehensible to think if the beaches are fixed in place by seawalls, all of our waves and iconic surf breaks will eventually drown due to sea level rise. There are many, many ways to adapt to sea level rise. Why would we lock ourselves into just one vision based on a proposal that private developers have come up with? The beach belongs to all of us. Please do not sacrifice our public resources for private benefit. The last thing we need is more seawalls in Orange County. Already 40% of Orange County's beaches are armored. Many of the beaches adjacent to the existing seawalls have disappeared. Several miles of beach in North San Clemente are already gone. This bill would doom the rest of our beaches in Orange County over the coming decades due to sea level rise. We all know that seawalls cause erosion. So why not turn to better solutions that will work with our natural shoreline processes to preserve the beach? Please approve the staff recommendation to oppose SB 1090 by Senator Bates. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Fall.
Next is Kristen Brenner, followed by Ryan Vaughn, followed by Laura Walsh. Ms. Brenner, I'm bringing you into the meeting now.
Hi, my name is Kristen Brenner. I'm a Solana Beach resident and commenting on behalf of the Surfrider Foundation. I'm also co-lead of the Surfrider San Diego's Beach Preservation Committee. I wanted to reiterate that this bill would be disastrous for our beaches in Solana Beach, as well as San Diego in general. Unfortunately, we are all aware there was a bluff collapse in Solana Beach's northern neighbor, Encinitas, last year. This is tragic for all of those close to the victims, and the effects are still felt in our community. However, I'm upset to see that this situation is being used to accelerate the process of armoring our community with seawalls, when there's so much documentation to show that seawalls do not have any positive impact on safety. What we are seeing here is yet another attempt by individuals to find loopholes in laws that have existed since the 70s, which are intended to protect Solana Beach and other coastal cities from exactly what is already happening. Seawalls line about 80% of our beach, and the beaches we have are already narrowing. I also want to point out that numerous decisions made by the Coastal Commission to establish sensible sea level rise planning over the past year have helped preserve our beaches so everyone can enjoy them. The beaches in Solana Beach are naturally narrow and are already highly threatened by all the armoring that has already been constructed. Anything that perpetuates this destructive pattern of protecting private property at the expense of the public's beaches is disastrous, in my opinion. Thank you for your leadership in these decisions.
Thank you, Ms. Brenner.
Thank you. Next is Ryan Vaughn, followed by Laura Walsh, followed by Mandy Sackett. I am not seeing Mr. Vaughn on our list, in the attendees list. It's possible if you're calling in by phone, we just don't have a name associated with that number. So we'll try and find you when we come to the end. So I'm going to move on to Laura Walsh, followed by Mandy Sackett, followed by Mary Beth. Ms. Walsh, I'm going to bring you into the meeting now.
Hi, my name is Laura Walsh. I'm a San Diego resident, also with the Surfrider Foundation. And I just want to quickly echo the many voices who are opposing this bill and the points they've made, all of which is particularly relevant here in San Diego, where many of our beaches are highly vulnerable to sea level rise, and about 30% of our coast is already armored. As has been mentioned, there's a lot of documentation to show that seawalls do not provide a public safety benefit. And the bill analysis presented to your staff describes one section of the bill as legally inoperable. This is a really nice way of saying just plain hypocritical, and that's because seawalls cannot be designed to prevent erosion. So thank you for your leadership when it comes to establishing sensible sea level rise policies and guidance, and we strongly support opposition of this bill. Thanks.
Thank you, Ms.
I think I do see Mr. Vaughn now, so we'll do Ryan Vaughn, followed by Mandy Sackett, followed by Mary Beth Troutwine. Mr. Vaughn, I'm going to bring you into the hearing now.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we hear you.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for the time. I am also affiliated with the San Diego chapter of the Surfrider Foundation, so I'd like to agree with Laura and echo the comments of the previous speakers. I think the California Coastal Act is one of the best things about coastal management in California, and redefining what is existing to mean actually exists now is a bit disingenuous and isn't in the spirit of protecting our coasts like the Coastal Act was designed to do. Also, limiting mitigation fees based on non-science driven numbers is something I would strongly oppose. My background as an economist, and I've worked on a number of mitigation fee studies in the past, so I find that to be a very worrisome aspect of the proposal. Thanks. That's all I got.
Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you. Just a reminder to folks wishing to speak on this item, if you could raise your hand if you're on the phone by dialing *9, or if you're just participating by Zoom, you can see that there's a button you should be able to click. Next, we're going to have Mandy Sackett, followed by Mary Beth Troutwine, followed by Molly Basler. Please remember to state your name for the record. Ms. Sackett, I'm going to bring you into the meeting now.
Hi, Mandy Sackett with the Surfrider Foundation. I'm a resident of San Clemente. It's so great to see you feeling better. Chair Padilla, thank you very much for the opportunity to comment here. I'd just like to chime in and add that this bill is in direct opposition of the direction that the state of California and our agencies are all proposing that we move towards in terms of sea level rise adaptation and planning. The Ocean Protection Council's sea level rise guidance of 2018 recommends that we implement natural solutions for shoreline protection, including managed retreat as the first adaptation strategy. The Natural Resources Agency's 2018 Safeguarding California Plan recommends full consideration be given to innovative nature-based approaches such as living shoreline techniques or managed retreat. Principle 12 of the Coastal Commission's own 2015 sea level rise guidance document recommends to maximize natural shoreline values and processes, avoiding the expansion and minimizing the perpetuation of shoreline armoring. And in 2018, the Coastal Commission also adopted a resolution on sea level rise and shoreline protection, which is a vision to protect and increase the natural landscape along California's coast. So I just would like to please urge you to oppose this bill, SB 1090. Let's not throw away decades worth of scientific data collection, analysis, and policy progress towards protecting our invaluable coast against the threat of climate change and sea level rise just because of a special interest group in this sort of brazen attempt to exploit public resources and taxpayer dollars. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Mandy.
Thank you. Next is Mary.